you might be in a guild where it feels worth it to stay, but you're really unhappy with how the raids are. And this is potentially a you problem, as in it only affects you. That'd be the case if your raid's actually pretty average and you'll full clear all the content in short order in the future and currently. In which case, you do have the option of just putting up with the raids that you're not super into, and then you can enjoy the other parts about the guild or social group that you're embedded in. But if you think in the future your guild won't be able to full clear the raids within the allotted raid time, it's not a you problem. And even though you may feel like it's the safe move to not rock the boat and just keep showing up to these bad raids and enjoying the company of these people you like when you're in Discord with them, it's actually you're in a really perilous spot here because your connections with all these people is really built upon the foundation of you guys having similar schedules and showing up to that raid at the same time. It's really important. Very, very rare that a raiding guild stops raiding eventually. Or actually, I'm getting ahead of myself here. That a raiding guild does raids where they don't full clear, and they do it over and over and over again. It's rare. Usually, that's a guild killer. And most guilds that die fail to make the transition to being an online community that does not require some actual presence within a game. Very unlikely. So if you think your guild won't full clear AQ or won't full clear NAC, and you're thinking, I don't want to leave this group, I like it, there's something valuable here. And then you're like, I don't want to be the one to try to make a change in my guild. Well, you're just on a crash course with losing your friends anyways. Like they're on the line. Somebody's got to do something. And I don't mean this if you're a GM or a raid leader. This is any raid group you're in. It's hiding from your problems. And I give you a couple strategies maybe to help if you're trying to convince people. They might be resistant to putting in the sacrifice of getting world buffs. They may pretend that they care about the mechanic because to them they think they're not all that important for actually finding success in the raid. And you could go and teach them just the most important mechanics, like maybe like one thing a raid. Can't do a whole lot. Or you could start showing them tools, or if they think certain statistics about the game are cool, but they're not really into doing a good job, you can start showing them how to check that out on Warcraft log. Over time, you get people intellectually curious about how to do better at the game. But if you don't do anything like that, like you got to understand what's going to happen. You're going to get into AQ or NAX, and things are going to go poorly, and you're going to end up not playing with these same people. And it's going to be very similar to if you had G quit, except it's going to feel very tragic also, because it'll be all these people were happy and together, and then now they're unhappy, and they're going to end up unhappy with each other, because you know what happens when you're in wipe fest dog shit progression runs that go nowhere. It's not very common that people go and spend 2-3 hours wiping on something like Twin Emps and AQ40, and they're like, that was a good night, guys, we'll try it again next week. They're going to start trying to talk about why the wipes are happening and how they could fix it. But they're going to be annoyed, and they're going to use pointed language and accuse each other of fucking up. And this can range from, well, the Warlock tanks keep on dying, obviously, because they're not getting healed enough, because they do have the right resistance gear. And so if they're dying, either they are taking avoidable damage, which we could just find out, or they're taking unavoidable damage, and then it's a healing issue. Now, it could be like that, but probably it's going to be like, the fucking healers aren't keeping me up. And who knows if the Warlock has the correct gear. Or the Warlock, why can't Jerry the Warlock stop standing in the fucking blizzard? Have we not done this boss pull enough times? That's the kind of stuff people are going to start saying. And they're going to start scratching the paint off this like beautiful friendship you all have with each other. And this is how it goes. This is how it fucking goes in guilds. Really bad, catastrophically raids that have where people can't imagine things getting better in the future. This upsets the fuck out of people, and it gets them to act in ways they normally wouldn't towards each other. I mean, how many guilds do you think calmly shut down and never do another raid in the future. I don't think it's very normal unless somehow you go from a full raid group to the raid leader or GM just saying, "Okay, the show's over." And hell, even when that happens, quite often somebody else can at least step up. So like almost for sure, if your guild does die in the future, there's going to be roster issues, which means people have left, and that almost definitely mean there's some other people at least will not value the relationships in the guild the same way you do. So there you go. That's like your whole reality changing. You got a real problem here. You got to get to it. But it's so tempting, I think especially probably with people problems, to not take action. And a lot of it is, I think it just feels maybe I'm just talking for myself here, but it feels like cringe to put yourself out there and say that things should happen in a different way, or trying to make like a concerted effort to convince people of things, to like make you feel like you're too try hard, or like you're low social status, or something like weird. But you have to get over that, otherwise you're not going to have the things you want at some point. Like I haven't always cared about raid performance in WoW. I started raiding as a kid, and I didn't care about the performance that much, and then somebody showed me Recount, and then I was like, "Ooh, this is cool." And I cared about it a little, and I raided with the same people for years, and I joined a really good guild, and I quit after one raid because I saw they all hated each other, and I was like, "Wow, I like ruined the game for myself. This is stupid." Then I come back in 2019, and I'm playing on a private server, and I make a guild, and I'm thinking we're all just going to be friends and fuck around. And kind of what I find is it's really tough being a Kara guild and not having really awesome Karas. Really kind of difficult. And people will say things and then do other things. And I got the feeling that if I made the raids better, it would make the social scene more stable. So I started getting serious about making the raid group I was running better. And then I kept doing that, and it kept on making the social better, and people had longer average tenures, and they got along more, and they had more. And people caring about raid performance also means that people care, they have at least one more thing that they all share and value, which is also good for people getting along and liking each other. And I've just been continuously getting more and more serious about the game over time. And it's been getting easier and easier and easier to make great friends. And it's like at an all-time high for me now, with it being very easy to have things go the way I want socially. Like, actually almost never any problem. And that should be the case for everybody who plays the game. But it's not like I just started out thinking that playing good was important. You know, I mean, like when I was 12 playing a hunter, World of Warcraft was it was a super huge part of my life. It's still a really big part, but it was like ridiculous when I was like 12. You know, it's like felt like that's the thing I'm gonna do when I get home from school. This is super important. And I just latched on to the DPS thing on Recount because it was a thing to look at. But when I came back to the game as an adult, I didn't really like think it was all that important until I just was in a couple groups where performance was bad and people got kind of nasty with each other, and I wanted to escape that. I wanted to escape the drama about how raids went, and I just really focused on fixing that problem around me. And then it's made my time playing the game a lot better, and it's made my life better too, because now I don't have like stress from in the game that can leak out into my real life, which a lot of people who play WoW, I think they do have that, and they'll have bad raids and it'll bother them while they're at work, or they'll get into a fight with some guy in their guild and they're like, "Oh, I have to just be around this fucking asshole forever," and that'll just wear on them. And these are all things that you should try to tackle, otherwise your relationship with your guild and your guildies isn't going to be sustainable. And I think it's just worth way less. It's not like if it can't last, it's worth way less. I feel like that about my friendships with individuals, with people too. It's not like not everyone that I raid with today am I gonna know in 10 years, but every single fucking person that I raid with today, there's like an actual chance. There's an actual real fucking chance, and there's like 6, 7 dudes in my guild that I have known for like 5, 6 years. And that should be, I think, the case for everybody. I mean, longer lasting things, I think, are just by their very nature more serious and valuable. And I don't see the point in playing the game in a way where you see a big problem and you're just going to try to get as much like juice out of the fruit before it like goes bad as possible, and then get on to a new thing. Because I don't know, like almost probably anybody who watches these videos, you either have a lot of friends, you're just totally bought into this, or you have like 3 or 4 real good friends on the internet that you go and hang around with, and you think I'm fucking crazy, and it's like, hey asshole, you having those 3 or 4 friends, like how many casual relationships are they worth? Like those few, like a ton, right? Okay, well maybe you should have more than 3 or 4. Like, not to say that they can't be tighter than the other ones, but longer lasted things I feel like are just, of course, more important. And it's hard to get that in WoW if you don't have really long average lifetimes of your raid groups and of your guilds and of the time you know people. So you should work on that. You should try to fix your guild. And if you really don't think that's for you, you might want to think, well, how could I be friends with these guys without the guild? You know, like start playing other games with them before things go bad. Or try to figure out how you could raid with them on an alt, and then maybe join another guild that you think is more sustainable. And you know, you could try both options in parallel, something like that. Which, by the way, if you're looking for a guild to join, hit me up in game or in Discord. We're on Nightslayer NA. Thanks for listening. I'll catch you later.